On the day I bought my season tickets for the Louisville Kings, I find out they won't have a general manager. Weird, I know. But this blow up with the UFL is not as crazy as I thought. So I wanted to take some time to formulate some thoughts after getting some facts and hearing some other opinions after the news. So let's discuss it. When I first saw the tweet from James Larson of Pro Football Newsroom, I thought the UFL, namely co-owner Mike Rapoli, had lost their minds, firing all the GMs 4 months before kickoff. Well, after reading James's article and really actually after talking to him, I realized this might actually be a good move. My initial worry was that there would be some kind of star chamber in Arlington of a few guys sitting around in a room deciding which players go to which team, not really taking into account the actual building of a team for that community and the schemes of the coaching staff. So while part of that might still be the case, James is reporting that the league is just moving to a centralized scouting model, and the league front office personnel will work directly with teams, namely the head coaches, to approve and facilitate signings. So on top of that, James reports that head coaches will now move to full-time contracts, which in my mind makes sense because they can be responsible for building their teams the way they want, then run it all through the league front office. Now, my worry of the league really just handing out players with no real strategy has been eased for now. I shared my initial thoughts on my Substack, it's free, and Abdul weighed in with his concerns over all this. He says, "I'm not sure how to feel about the GM firing. It stinks because these GMs could have had opportunities to be part of the NFL executive staff in the future and would have been a great marketing tool for any NFL executive player personnel staff that wanted to be part of the UFL as a building block for their future. I do think it is a positive in a way just for the head coach and GM of the league and to be streamlining in all this process." So I think Abdul is on target here, but I will say even though this might be a missed opportunity right now for potential NFL GMs, I don't think this will be a permanent move, and I'll explain. Rapoli's vision is to expand the league, have all the teams actually play and live in their cities rather than the central hub in Arlington. I think if that comes to fruition, the general manager position for each team could come back because first, you've shown the league is economically viable. Those salaries would be there, even though this is allegedly not a cost-cutting move. But also, you would need someone with boots on the ground in these communities to help build the teams that these cities will want to continue to support. So maybe this is just temporary for now. Now, Mike Mitchell, another UFL journalist who I really trust with a lot of inside scoops, says Russ Brandon moves from CEO to Executive Vice President of Football Operations, which is the central hub for all these personnel decisions. Mike says Rapoli is now in charge of all the business aspects of the league, which is not a surprise since it seems that he's been active in that kind of role for a while, especially as the face of the UFL during all the news conferences at the new locations recently. Mike says that we should get a formal announcement and some new head coaching contracts later this month. What we have yet to hear, at least at the time that I post this, is what Daryl Johnston's role will be. He was the previous executive VP of operations, which is now the title that Russ Brandon holds. Greg Parks, he wondered the same thing in an article over at UFL News Hub, and he wonders if Johnston might have a narrow scope of responsibility in this restructuring. So back to the whole lack of general managers now. If there are no more GMs, we have to assume the front office panel has final say on the coaches who are hired, which brings us to Houston, where former GM Will Lewis, he came in, cleaned house, except he kept head coach Curtis Johnson after a one-win season in 2024. Now in 2025, the team started off 1-3, but finished 5-5, although 3 of the 5 wins were 2 victories against Memphis and 1 against San Antonio, who were 2 of the worst teams in the league. If I'm CJ, I'm worrying about my job in 2026. Of course, the UFL has yet to name any of the head coaches officially for 2026 as of this posting, and all eyes are on who will lead the new franchises in Columbus, Louisville, and Orlando. But overall, it seems as if my initial fears about this major restructuring in the UFL are relatively unwarranted. As is the case with alt football for the past century, it is all fluid. Hopefully more clarity to come, as Mike Mitchell reports, before Thanksgiving. More thoughts on all this and news from the alt football world available now on my Substack. Again, it's free. Check that out if you want, and check out some of the other videos from my channel. Thanks for watching.